In 2021 in Ontario, Canada, Lucy Lee, who some dubbed as one of Instagram's Asian Kardashians, was wanted in connection to the murder of a local man and the attempted murder of his pregnant fiance. So why would a lifelong wealthy woman with a high-powered family that was having tons of internet success get involved in an attempted triple murder?
What the hell?
This is the story of the Instagram model turned murderer, Lucy Lee. Hi, my name is Tasha, and this is my series White Rabbit, where we deep dive into anything spooky, odd, or just interesting while I apply some special effects makeup. Today's makeup is going to be my first attempt at old age or aging makeup. It's pretty obvious that appearance is very important to a lot of people in today's story. And we're not just talking about physical appearance, we're also talking about status and wealth. But for today's makeup, obviously we're focusing on physical appearance. If you like this type of content, please subscribe. It gets me closer to my goal of becoming a full-time YouTuber. Now let's get into this crazy story. Lucy Lee is the oldest of 5 children. She is a triplet and her sisters' names are Caitlin and Jane. The younger 2 kids aren't really a part of the story, so we're just gonna skip past them and focus mainly on the triplets and also their very powerful mother. Lucy's family was a very high-profile family in Canada, and the triplets were pretty Insta famous. They were like local celebrities. Their content was your typical baddie content. All 3 of them shared a page and they posted a lot of bikini pictures and lingerie pictures. All 3 of them are gorgeous and they had amazing bodies. So they did really, really well. Caitlin even competed in the Miss World pageant. And they were super rich, so people were really intrigued with them. They loved watching them. I think that's where the comparison came to the Kardashians. So let's talk about their powerhouse of a mother. Winnie Lee was a self-made millionaire. Well, her husband did help some, but from what I could tell, she was the driving force behind the business, and she had a very dominant personality. Her business, from what I can understand in layman terms, was a financial manager. She found loopholes for Chinese businesses where they could buy insurance plans as a way of sending money over to Canada without paying taxes on what they were sending over to Canada.
What in the hell are you saying?
So I'm not 100% sure about exactly what she was doing, but she made millions. Winnie also had very high profile clientele. She was even close with Canada's Prime Minister. Winnie also had a reputation for being extremely hard on her children. She was considered a tiger mom and she had very high expectations for them. Not only were they expected to perform well in school, but they also were expected to show up at many, many events and they were expected to look and act perfectly. When the triplets were 13, they started their own youth foundation, I'm sure with the help of their mother, but this is the type of thing that was almost demanded of them. Minnie said that she ran her family the same way she ran a business, and that essentially each person was like a board member, and according to her, they all had a say. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what she said. Minnie also said that they would have these family meetings, and if someone messed up, she gave Lucy as an example. So if Lucy messed up, all of the family would gather together during this meeting and critique what she did, and they would give suggestions to that family member on how they could do better for next time. It kind of seemed like a shaming ceremony. It sounds horrible, honestly. I don't want my mistakes to be an open forum for a discussion where the whole family gets to like critique and give suggestions. And even though Lucy was a triplet, she was still like the oldest. She don't give a damn what her younger siblings think about her.
Mind your business, girl.
Her mom referred to her as the eldest and she expected a lot from her. After high school, according to her mother, Lucy went to Harvard where she really excelled. And not to downplay what education Lucy did have, but it turns out that she did not go to Harvard. She went to Harvard's extension program, which basically if you can afford it, you can get in. So it's not as elite. And apparently there are many other extension programs that are much better than the program at Harvard. You're kind of paying for the name on your resume. I did see that it can be really good for networking though, just not the actual program. But Winnie and Lucy were constantly misleading people when they talked about Lucy graduating from Harvard. They made it seem like she really went to school there. Not that she paid for this extension program. Extension program or not, Winnie did agree that Lucy could take a year or so off from school before going into the business to just figure out her next move. So Lucy obviously took advantage of this. She spent a lot of time traveling. She spent time building the triplets Instagram page. And she even started spending time with an old flame of hers named Oliver Carafa. Lucy's family wasn't really a big fan of Oliver, so she kept how serious they were a secret. They were very serious. They got married. Oliver Carafa was 28 at the time, and he was originally from Slovakia, but his parents moved him to Ontario when he was just a little child. And Oliver was pretty fresh out of prison when he started dating Lucy. He had been convicted of quite a few crimes, all stemming back from this accident that he had in 2012. He was driving under the influence, and unfortunately, someone died. He was going 3 times the speed limit, crashed the car, and his friend was ejected through the windshield. Oliver, surprisingly, was only sentenced to 5 years, and as soon as he got out, he started this relationship with Lucy. Oliver was definitely a scheming man. He was one of those people that always had this get-rich-quick scheme. So as soon as he got out of prison, he was really anxious to figure out how he could make a lot of money fast. This was when he came up with the idea of selling medical supplies to hospitals. This was during the pandemic, so gloves, masks, alcohol, all of those things were in really high demand. So he figured he could buy these things in bulk or manufacture them, sell it to the hospitals, and then pocket the profits. The only problem was Oliver needed cash up front to buy the supplies, and he didn't have money. So Oliver started shopping around for investors, and that's when he met Tyler Pratt. They were introduced through a mutual friend. Tyler was a local businessman. He had both legal and illegal businesses. Tyler made most of his money as a longtime Coca-Cola dealer. He took all of that illegal money and he poured it into quite a few legal businesses. He opened his own diamond company called Hard as Diamonds, and he also launched his own fitness and nutrition supplement company. Tyler was trying to transition completely out of dealing with Coca-Cola, and after he was talking to Oliver, he was completely convinced that this could be the investment that allowed him to go clean. The product sounded good, the need was definitely there, and he had enough money to back the business. Tyler was pretty desperate to go clean. He already had 3 children, and his new girlfriend, Jordan Romano, was also pregnant. They were engaged, I think. So he decided to take the leap and invest. Tyler's original investment was about $170,000, and after just a few months, that original investment was already showing huge profits. So then Tyler decided to put another $300,000 into this mask manufacturing company. Tyler and his girlfriend Jordan were very close to Lucy and Oliver. They hung out all the time. They did double dates, dinners. They were just a cute couple friend group. Lucy and Jordan would always talk about Jordan's pregnancy. They just seemed to have a really great relationship. But the problem started once Tyler wanted to withdraw some of his money. Oliver basically told Tyler that he was trying to figure out a way that he could transfer all of the money from Europe to Canada without attracting the attention of the authorities. Because they both knew that if the authorities noticed, there would be an investigation and they could possibly find out how Tyler made his money. So Oliver comes up with a plan to get the money to Canada. He proposes that Tyler purchase European life insurance policies from his girlfriend Lucy, and then he could cash them out in Canada. February 28th, 2021, Jordan and Tyler were meeting up with Lucy and Oliver at a warehouse that Lucy's parents owned. They were thinking about getting into supplying medical marijuana, and I think this was going to be one of the grow sites. So they all met at this warehouse, and they were waiting for Lucy's realtor so that they could do a walkthrough, and if everything was good, they were going to sign a lease. They waited outside for about 20 minutes, but then it started to snow, so Jordan and Tyler went into the car to warm up. At some point, Tyler got back out of the car and he went to go find Oliver to talk to him because it was getting late and this realtor still was not there. Lucy got into the driver's seat of the car to sit with Jordan while the guys talked, and Jordan immediately knew that something was off. When Lucy got into the car, she kept her head down. She wouldn't even make eye contact with Jordan, and she just kept scrolling her phone. So Jordan was trying to have a conversation with Lucy, and then all of a sudden Lucy just gets up and leaves out of the car in mid-conversation. She doesn't even close the door. When Lucy did that, Jordan looked over and saw Oliver standing at the car with a gun pointed at her. He then shot at her 3 times, hitting her once in the chest. Jordan hit the gas and floored it out of there. I think she was going in reverse, and she scraped the entire side of her car against the warehouse. She could hear gunshots, and she could also hear Tyler screaming for her to get out of there. Jordan stated that the last words she heard Tyler say were, "What the fuck, bro?" Jordan ended up driving up the road, crashing the car, and then crawling out of her car on the side of the road to get help. After riding around for a while and being unable to locate Jordan, Lucy and Oliver figured that there was no way she was going to survive that chest wound, so they just got out of there. This part is a little unclear to me, but what I think happened is that Lucy and Oliver found the car, but they didn't find Jordan, because there is video of who appears to be Lucy driving Jordan's Range Rover away from the scene. But we know that Jordan escaped in her Range Rover and crashed it. Anyway, they figured if Jordan wasn't already dead, she was definitely on her way. But what they didn't count on was that someone had already found Jordan and called 911. This woman was driving past in the car with her boyfriend. She thought it was a dead animal on the side of the road, but something just kept telling her to turn back around. So she turned around, and there she found Jordan. She jumped out of her car to help her while her boyfriend called 911. She was then taken to the hospital where she slipped into a coma, and doctors weren't really confident that she was going to be able to pull through. I mean, she had a hole in her chest. Meanwhile, police were already at the scene collecting evidence and trying to piece together exactly what happened at this warehouse. Police found Tyler's body sprawled on the ground with 7 bullet casings surrounding him. They also found a plane ticket from Vancouver to Toronto. And best of all, there was actual video footage of the 2 suspects. There was a man and woman caught on video fleeing the scene, one in the white Range Rover that was registered to Jordan, and the other one was a white Audi. The next day, Jordan's Range Rover was found abandoned at a construction site. Her purse was inside, and the driver's seat was covered in her blood. They later located the Audi with no plates, and they found out that it was registered to a woman named Iris Lopez. According to Iris, she had sold the vehicle. Now, I did see some reports saying that she sold the vehicle like the day of the shooting, but then I saw another article that said she sold the vehicle like a week before. But either way, basically right before the shooting, she sold the car. She sold the car to her son's friend, Oliver Carafa, and the reason that there were no plates on the car is because when she turned over the car to him, she had her husband take off the plates. So almost immediately after purchasing this car, it's abandoned near a crime scene, almost as if that's the whole reason the car was purchased.
Well, duh.
After 3 days of being in a coma, Jordan finally woke up, and luckily for police, she remembered everything that happened that night. When Lucy and Oliver found out that Jordan was still alive, they decided that they had to flee the country. First, they went back to their apartment and they packed up a few things and some money, and then they drove to a local gas station where they sat and waited for the gas station to open. At around 6 a.m., the gas station opened and Lucy went inside and threw into the trash a blonde wig, unused bullets, keys to the Audi, and a hat. They abandoned their car and took a taxi to the Montreal airport where they boarded a flight to Frankfurt, Germany. Once they got to Frankfurt, they then rented a car and then they drove to Slovakia to Oliver's parents' house. They didn't stay long because Oliver's parents ended up finding out that they were wanted and what they were wanted for, and they kicked both of them out. They weren't exactly thrown out onto the streets. Oliver's father did arrange for them to stay in a safe house in Hungary. Oliver and Lucy stayed in this safe house for about 6 weeks before they decided to try to travel to Budapest. They got arrested while trying to obtain Canadian passports. In all, they were on the run together for about 3 months. Oliver fought extradition. If you hear some ruckus, Salem is playing with his toy in the background. Little did he know Lucy had already made a deal with Canada and she definitely was not fighting extradition. Unbelievably, Lucy was actually complaining about having to fly coach. Her mother even offered to fly everyone back privately on her tab if she was permitted. She was not permitted.
You stupid girl.
During Lucy's interrogation, she looked very relaxed. She did not look like a woman that was being accused of murder. She even laughed and giggled throughout the interview. It was very weird. Lucy was released on bail for $2.7 million. But within 4 months, she had already been rearrested for violating the terms. Lucy had contacted someone that she was specifically told not to have any contact with, and she also on a different occasion left the house without permission to go hang out with her friends. So she was locked back up to await trial. During the trial, Lucy and her lawyers claimed that Lucy knew absolutely nothing about the murder. They claimed that she was on the complete other side of the warehouse when Tyler was shot. Lucy said that Oliver sent her to the other side of the warehouse looking for a lockbox to see if they could get in because they were waiting for the realtor and the realtor never showed. While she was doing that, Lucy heard loud popping sounds and she rushed over to see what the heck was going on. That's when she saw Oliver standing over Tyler. Tyler was on the ground and Oliver was screaming at Lucy to get in the car. Then she saw Jordan backing up in her Range Rover, scraping the entire side of the warehouse. According to Lucy, she just froze, but eventually Oliver's screaming snapped her out of it. They both hopped into the Audi and sped off. Once they made it back to the apartment, Lucy said that Oliver told her they needed to take the stairwell up to the apartment, which was crazy because their apartment was like on the 34th or 35th floor. Lucy took the elevator up to the apartment, but she had on this blonde wig, and Oliver took the stairwell where there were no cameras. Lucy stated that she didn't know what happened that night until she was on her phone later on and she saw an article about a man that had been killed and a woman who had been shot. She noticed that it was the same warehouse that they were just at. So Lucy goes to Oliver and she questioned him about what happened. He told Lucy that he had just saved both of their lives, that he had to do what he did, and that they needed to flee because Tyler's gang was definitely going to come looking for them. So this was the whole reason that she thought she was on the run. She thought she was running from Tyler's gang, not from the Canadian government. Lucy said that her husband Oliver's business with the mask manufacturing wasn't really doing well and it actually wasn't making any money. He decided that he was going to have to kill Tyler before Tyler found out that he wasn't making any money off of his investment. So I guess Lucy was saying that she knew Oliver wanted to kill Tyler, but she didn't know that it was happening then with her there. Lucy also tried to downplay her relationship with Jordan and Tyler, saying that she would never work with those type of people because Jordan was a known spicy dancer in the area and Tyler was in the Coca-Cola business. Lucy said they weren't presentable people and that she really tried to get Oliver not to do any business with them. The police knew that she was lying. Jordan had already told them that they had been together hundreds of times and she considered them very close. But now all of a sudden Lucy was acting as if she barely knew them. Another part of Lucy's story that just made no sense was the fact that Lucy and Oliver drove to Oliver's friend's house specifically for the purpose of swapping out Lucy's SIM card. Oliver told his friend that they had this super secret meeting to go to and that Lucy's family was so nosy and they were always following her location and in their business. So he just wanted to swap out the SIM cards for a couple hours while they did this meeting. And he also was going to leave his phone there. Swapping SIM cards is crazy work. Who is this friend? That is the stupidest thing ever. I'm sorry, that is so dumb. If somebody's asking you to swap SIM cards, what? Oliver's attorney took the position that Oliver was the shooter, but he was only defending himself. They painted Tyler as this overbearing, threatening man, and they painted Oliver as being very afraid because he didn't have his money. Oliver felt like he had to get rid of Tyler for his own safety. After less than an hour of deliberation, Oliver and Lucy were both found guilty of murder. They were both automatically sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years, and both of them are appealing their convictions. Let me know your thoughts on this. I am so confused as to why Lucy would do this versus just going to her family and asking for the money. Maybe she was embarrassed or ashamed because they already didn't like Oliver. They didn't know that they were married, so maybe she felt like she couldn't go to them. But she also had her own money, so I don't know. I guess it was for love. I did hear that allegedly her parents were cutting her off because they didn't want her to be with Oliver and she was refusing to like stop messing with him. So maybe she was cut off and she didn't have any money. She was cut off by her parents, but she was still really used to living this upscale life. So maybe that's what made her do it. Let me know your thoughts below. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of me, and I will see you down another rabbit hole.